everyone. I am Rajiv Saxena, Associate Professor, Smriti College of Pharmaceutical Education, Indore. In today's video lecture, we'll discuss about the design of aseptic area, the sources of contamination, and the clean area classification. This topic is very important, especially if you are talking about any pharmaceutical industry which is involved in the production of the product which are meant to be sterilized. Especially the product like, for example, parenteral product, ophthalmic products. These are some of the products that are mandatorily to be sterilized before its availability into the market. So in this video lecture, we'll discuss about what is the basic design or what should be the basic layout of the pharmaceutical industry in which we are preparing these category of the product. We'll also discuss about what are the different design components that need to be incorporated while designing any laboratory or any aseptic area for the production of the sterilized pharmaceutical product. We'll also discuss about what are the different sources of contamination that can enter, that can spoil your product, and what are the different methods by which we can easily remove or we can easily handle these sources of contamination. And we'll also discuss about the clean area classification. So, to start with, we know that suppose if you are talking about any product, say for example any parenteral product, maybe it is available in the form of certain injections, okay. So definitely we know that if it is a parenteral product, so before its entry or launching into the market, we have to go for the sterilization. In the previous video, we have also discussed about there are different methods of sterilization that are available. Maybe the sterilization done with the help of an autoclave, maybe with the help of some filtration method, maybe by certain radiation method, and so many different methods of sterilization are available. So depending upon the method of sterilization, the factor, the area in which we are preparing these categories of the pharmaceutical need to be decided. We know that actually there are certain products which are terminally sterilized. Terminally sterilized means the product, suppose if I am compounding a pharmaceutical product or maybe injection, then it is actually filled in the final container, and after filling, then it is allowed to be sterilized. So once it is packed or once it is sealed in its container, then definitely after the sterilization, the sources of contamination become very less. Maybe for example, if I am using an autoclave, I have prepared an injection, I have prepared a formulation, I have compounded a formulation, and I have filled that formulation inside a vial. And then I have sealed the vial, and then we have done the autoclave process for the sterilization. Then it will be called as a terminal sterilization process. But every time we cannot go for the terminal sterilization. Sometimes suppose if your product is not stable to the heat, what we have to do, we have to again go for the preparation and the compounding and the formulation of the product, and after the formulation it has to go for the sterilization process, maybe by using some filtration method, and after the filtration whatever the sterilized material that we are getting after the filtration is actually filled in different vials, and then these vials are actually sealed, and then it is packaged into its final packaging material. So in that case, after the sterilization, again your product can be exposed to the environment that may contaminate the product. So in that case, the concept of aseptic area plays a very important role. So as you can see in this diagram, there is a specific layout of this aseptic area in which we can understand that suppose if I am having a industry which is involved in the preparation of these categories of the product, maybe that are terminally sterilized, or maybe it is first it is prepared and then it is poured into its container, and then after that pouring it is actually sealed. So in both the cases, how we can go for the arrangement of different laboratory segments inside the pharmaceutical industries, that can be understood with the help of a basic layout. Okay, so as you can see in this diagram, you can start with, there is an arrangement of an office. Definitely whatever the staff, whatever the operator which are involved in that industry will actually be available in the office or in that back office. Okay, then there is a stock room. Definitely whatever the raw material which will be required for the preparation, for the formulation of any product, that will be available in the stock room. So suppose if I have to start the preparation of any of these product, then there are different sections one by one in which we can go, in which we can enter, and then successfully we can prepare a product that is free from any contaminating microorganism. As you can see in this diagram, there is a cleanup area. There is a cleanup area. What is the importance of the cleanup area? So whatever the machines, whatever the equipments, whatever the utensils which are involved in the production is actually allowed to clean in this cleanup area. Now once all these things will be cleaned, then it will enter into the next section, which is actually called as the compounding area. So depending upon the formula, whatever the product that you are preparing, whatever the preparation that you are preparing, maybe it is having 2 to 3 different ingredients. So in this area, we have to go for the compounding, we have to go for the formulation of the product. But we know that only the compounding cannot fulfill our requirement, because if we are talking about the parenteral product, maybe we are talking about the ophthalmic product, these products are actually the product that need to be sterilized. So after the compounding area in which we are compounding the product, the next thing that has to be done is actually the sterilization process. So as discussed earlier, like if we are following a terminal sterilization process, okay, then what we have to do, directly from this compounding area, we can enter into the area where the sterilization can be done. So after the compounding, then whatever the product that we have compounded, we have formulated, is actually filled in the vials or the containers, and then it is also sealed, and after sealing, the process of sterilization is actually taking place in some specialized area that is actually called as the sterilization section of the industry. So here what we have done, there is one office, then there is a stock room. From that stock room we have to enter into the cleanup area where the cleaning process is actually taking place, and then from the cleanup area we have to enter into the compounding area where the formulation of the product has to be done, and then if we are talking about the terminal sterilization process, then that can be done with the help of this sterilization room. But still, if we are talking about the product which are not terminally sterilized, then what we have to do, we have to enter into the aseptic filling area, because whatever the product we have sterilized, maybe in the sterilization area we have sterilized the product maybe by using the filtration method, but that product that we are obtaining, that we are calling it as a sterilized product, is not yet compounded or yet transferred into its container. So if we have to go for the pouring, or we have to go for the we want that the product should enter into its final container, then it can enter with the help of this aseptic filling area, because this aseptic area actually assures that in the environment no contaminating microorganism is available, and in that environment easily we can go for the filling of the pharmaceutical product into its container. Then again, what is the next section? Suppose after the sterilization, if we are talking about the terminal sterilization process, then definitely we can enter into the packaging and the finishing area. And from the packaging and finishing area, means here in this area we have to go for its a secondary packaging. We have to stick the label, whatever the things that need to be put on the product is actually done in the packaging and the finishing area. And from this packaging and finishing area, it will enter into the storage and the shipping area. And in this storage area, once the product will be available, the quality control, that is definitely here we can go for the application of the test for sterility is actually performed. And similarly, if we are talking about the aseptic filling area, from the aseptic filling area, there is a quarantine area. It means here for some time we have to keep our product, and from the quarantine area, again it can enter into the packaging and the finishing area, and from the packaging and finishing area, it can enter into the storage and shipping area, where we can also go for the quality control check by performing the test for sterility. So this is actually the basic layout of any industry which is involved in the product which need to be sterilized. But again, we need to consider about while we are designing this type of arrangement in any industries, there are certain points in our design that need to be considered. So one by one we'll discuss about what are the different design parameter that needs to be kept in our mind before compounding or before actually preparing the aseptic area or before preparing the area that will be dedicated in the preparation of the sterilized product. Okay, so these are some of the points, like we will talk about the floor, walls and ceilings, we'll talk about the doors, windows and services, we'll talk about the personal and protective clothing, and we'll also talk about the cleaning and the disinfection process. Okay, so the first one is floor, wall and ceiling. Suppose if we are constructing a new premise, so before the construction of the premise or the pharmaceutical industry which will be involved in the production of these categories of the product, then the first thing that we need to keep in our mind that whatever the floor material we are using, whatever the wall we are using, whatever the ceiling material that we are using, it should be compatible with the production of this type of product. Okay, so these area, the first necessity of this area is that if you are talking about a floor, if you are talking about a wall, if you are talking about a ceiling, then definitely all these area are actually continuously cleaned inside the premise. So the cleaning process in all these areas should be very easy, means whatever the structural component that we are building in our industry, then these areas should be very compatible for the cleaning process. If you are talking about a floor, then definitely different categories of the floors are actually available. Some floors are actually called as the flexing floors, like for example, they are made up of the material like polyvinyl chloride, because polyvinyl chloride is very easy to clean and easy to repair. So we can easily go for this type of flexing floors also. Some non-flexing floors which are actually made up of some inorganic filling substances is also available in the market. We can also go for the concrete floors also. Okay, but if we are using the concrete floor, then proper sealing of the concrete should be done, so that if we are going for the cleaning process, if we are going for some repair process, then it should not generate some contamination into our product. Then if we are talking about the walls, then definitely walls should be fireproof, it should not be inflammable. Okay, so for that quality we can go for the walls which are made up of some steel material. We can also go for the wall that is made up of glass. We can also go for the wall that can be made up of some enameled steel. Okay, but if we are using some material like cement or bricks wall, if we are using, then definitely the effective coating, effective treatment should be done in that categories of the wall, because they should not generate any sources of contamination into our product. Similar is the case with the ceiling also. If you are talking about the floor, if you are talking about the wall, if you are talking about the ceiling, the first and the most important requirement is that it should be very smooth in nature. Okay, and we need to avoid the edges in the between the wall and the floor and between the wall and the ceiling. So these edges are actually avoided so that the process of cleaning should become very easy. If you are talking about the doors, windows and services, then definitely the doors, that whatever the operator that has to enter into the different section as discussed in the layout will enter through the door. Okay, so the door should be it should be like a flushing door. It should be a self-closable door should be available, and it should properly seal with the wall of the particular section. It means no gaps should be available between the door and the wall, because if the if some gaps will be available, then definitely the air and other contaminating microorganism may enter through it. Okay. Similarly, if you are talking about the windows, then windows in case of the parental unit, it is not for the ventilation purpose. It is actually for the proper arrangement of the light. It means whatever the window that we are using in this particular area, especially if we are talking about the aseptic area, then the windows should be properly sealed. It means the passage of air should not be allowed through the window, but rather the window here can be made up of some glass type of material, so that the light can easily enter inside the premise, but air should not enter through the windows. Now talking about the personal and protective clothing. So if you are talking about a pharmaceutical industry, so many different categories of the operator definitely will enter inside the premise and perform their duties. Okay. So if you are talking about the operator, then the skin of an operator or the scale skin of an operator is actually could be a very suitable source of contamination. Okay. So whatever the operator that is actually working in these categories of the premises, the first of all some workshops that is related to the health and hygiene should be first conducted for these categories of the operator, because if they will enter inside the industries and having certain infection in the skin, then definitely these microorganisms from the operator can definitely enter into our product. And also to avoid that, certain protective clothings are also provided to the operator. These clothings actually includes the clothing suit. It is also having the protective head covers, protective face shields are also available, protective gloves are also available, protective shoe covers are also available. So we can make that the operator first should wear all these protective clothings and then can enter into these sophisticated areas. And whatever the clothing material or personal clothing that we are using for this industry should be sterilizable. Means every day when an operator is coming, then he should get a fresh sterilized clothing material, then only he or she should enter inside these categories of the premises. Then talking about the cleaning and the disinfection, definitely cleaning and disinfection process is a continuous process, because we know that if we'll go for the proper cleaning of the internal premise, then definitely the load of the microorganism will definitely be reduced. So whatever the material that we have used in case of the wall, ceiling, etc., that should be compatible with the cleaning process. We know that different categories of the disinfectant are actually available in the market. So depending upon the requirement, depending upon the area that in which we have to go for the application, we need to choose the disinfectant, and that area should be compatible with the use of the disinfectant. Now coming to the next point of discussion, that is called as the sources of contamination and how we can go for its prevention. Okay. So the sources of contamination can be divided into four major categories. Number one is an atmosphere, number two is an operator, number three is a raw material, and number four is a equipment. So one by one we'll discuss about all these factors that can act as a source of contamination. Okay. So the first source of contamination is an atmosphere. Definitely whatever the atmosphere that is available, the air that is available, the surrounding that is available in all these area can definitely act as a very good source, because so many categories of the microorganism which are pathogenic, which actually infect our pharmaceutical preparation, is available in the air. They may be dragged away with the help of the soil, then maybe with the help of an operator. If the health of an operator is not good, he is sneezing, then definitely the droplets which are coming out of the operator can also contaminate the atmosphere. So in order to reduce the contamination from the atmosphere, the most desirable method is the proper disinfection and the cleaning process, and also we can all go for the use of different airlocks. So these airlocks will actually detaches the internal environment of the industry with the external environment and can create the positive pressure inside the pharmaceutical industry. Now the next source of contamination is actually the operator. So as discussed in case of the personal and protective clothing, because the skin of an operator is a very good source of microorganism that can enter into any pharmaceutical product. So definitely again some health and hygiene program should be performed, and personal protective clothing should be provided to the operator in order to protect the contamination of any kind of this sterilizable product. Now raw material, definitely if we are compounding any product, in the compounding area we need to have different raw material. So if these raw material are having certain natural origin, maybe it is derived from any plant source, maybe it is derived from certain animal sources, then definitely these products are very prone to contamination by the microorganism. So before using these categories of the product into our industry, then definitely first of all we have to go for the quality control check in this raw material, and once it is assured that these raw material is not having any contaminating microorganism, then only they should enter into the compounding area. Otherwise, they can also contaminate the surrounding environment. Similarly, the water is again a very promising source of contamination. So whatever the water that we are using for compounding or the preparation of any kind of these categories of the product, then water should be of the highest quality. It should be first sterilized, and we can go for the use of certain RO units. So the water should be properly checked before its usage into the formulation of the sterilizable product. And then the last source of contamination is the equipment. So definitely for the preparation, for the compounding of any product belonging to this category, we definitely require various equipment. So the proper cleaning of the equipment or the apparatus or the utensil should be followed. And it is observed that if your equipment is having so many edges, then inside that edge the microorganism may save themselves. So the proper cleaning process should be there, and whatever the machines that we are installing, then definitely we need to try that in that cases the number of joints should be as less as possible. Okay, means if more joints will be available, and so inside that joints the probability of the growth of the microorganism is more. So we need to first optimize like whatever the equipments or the apparatus which are in direct contact with the pharmaceutical product, then definitely these types of equipment should be first properly cleaned, and then avoiding the joints is best preferable in the pharmaceutical industry. Now coming to the last point of discussion, which is actually called as the clean area classification. So now we have understand that in these particular areas, if we are talking about these areas which are involved in the production of parenteral product, maybe involved in the production of some ophthalmic product that need to be sterilized and that need to maintain the aseptic environment, then definitely inside those areas the presence of the microorganism in a very large amount is not desirable. So depending upon the location, depending upon the room, the clean areas are actually classified. So actually the classification of the clean area is dependent upon the number of microorganisms which are available in the per cubic meter of that particular area. Okay, so different grades of the clean area is available. That, like for example, your grade can be A grade area, it could be a B grade area, it could be a C grade area, or it could be a D grade area. If we are talking about a A grade area, then as you can see in this table, in A grade area, the number of viable microorganisms per cubic meter of the air should be less than 1. Then if we are talking about a grade B, then it should be around 10. Then if we are talking about the grade C area, then it could be around 100. And if we are talking about the grade D area, then definitely it can be around 200. So this is actually the permissible limit of the microorganism that can be available. So depending upon the condition, depending upon the room, we need to go for the optimization of these different grades of the aseptic area, okay, or maybe clean areas. Okay, if we are talking about, suppose if we are talking about a aseptic filling area, then aseptic filling area is a very important area, because here whatever the sterilized product that you have received from the sterilization section will actually be transferred into its final container. So whatever the environment that is available, it should be completely sterilized. Means we need to choose the grade A area in this particular section. Okay, and suppose if we are talking about the stock room, so stock room or maybe in the cleaning area, grade A maybe it is not required, so maybe we can go for the use of grade C or grade D in this particular section. So we need to choose the grade depending upon the utilization of the room. If some aseptic compounding is done, then definitely we need to go for the choose of the grade A area. And suppose if some less sophisticated procedure or operation is actually performed, then definitely we can go for the choosing of the grade D area. So this is all about the design of the aseptic area, the sources of contamination, and different clean area classification. So we can summarize here, like if you are talking about the products which are involved in certain preparations which are sterilized, like for example parenteral preparation, injections, ophthalmic preparation, then definitely in that case some specialized design of the area is actually required. Okay, then in that design some feature that we need to add, that is related to the floor, walls and ceiling, that is related to doors, windows and services, that is related to personal and protective equipment, that is related to the cleaning and disinfection procedure. Okay, then we have also discussed about various sources of contamination. If we are talking about these sources of contamination, is actually related to almost every section, but especially to those sections in which we are preparing a product that has to be sterilized, then definitely these sources play a very important role. Okay, so these sources generally include your atmosphere, the operator, the raw material and the equipment. And summarize here, we have also discussed about various clean area classification. It is also classified as the grade A, grade B, grade C and grade D environment. So we can choose the environment which is best suitable to the operation that is performed in the industry. Thank you so much.